The mortuary attendant, who was so scared about everything that has been going on, decided to open up. He narrated that while he went about doing his daily chores in the mortuary, their normal routine where they will need to clean the bodies, change them, and he was just talking about everything. He discovered that there was one particular man that each time he comes to clean the man is always sitting up and he's not lying as where they kept him. He sits up, and while sitting up, if he discovers that the man is always keeping some things like in bottles close to a desk near where he lies. And he was wondering what may have happened. So one day he decided to come at night to check what he's been thinking about, if that was true. So he walked in the middle of the night and discovered that the man was not lying where he used to lie. And he decided to discuss this with one of his colleagues who came to take over the shift from that department, that particular section where they were. And he told everything. He told his colleague everything that has been going on. His colleague couldn't believe what he heard. His colleague knows that they hear some funny sounds, but he did not want to believe that these things were true. So his colleague decided to also, put an eye on the man to know if all they heard was true. And the colleague came one day to clean that section and discovered that the man had turned and lying on his side. He laid on his side, not the way they kept them to lie. And he began to wonder, could this really be true? So one day, they went to the doctor in charge of the mortuary unit. They explained everything to the doctor. And the doctor said he couldn't believe what they were saying, that that's not possible, that the man has been embalmed, that it's not possible for the man to wake up and do anything, that it could be that they are hallucinating. It's not possible. The man was, he lamented and was like, no, it's not possible. So they begged him to try to do a night shift with them or a morning shift so that he will come by himself to put the man in the same position and come back. Let nobody enter the mortuary. He will come back to check it if this is true. So that happened, and he decided to come back around 2 a.m. and discovered that the man was not lying on the same position they kept him. He had gone out. He was not there. In physical, he was not lying there. So the man was like, okay, they should go out to check go round to see if they can find the man. As they went round, they found the man sitting in a place drinking. He was seated there drinking and was nodding his head to a music they couldn't listen to, but only him could hear. So they decided to go back. As they saw the man, they went back. And as they went back and came back, and they met him on the bed, lying in a different position from what they kept him. So they decided to tell his family members who came to, because normally family members will come, depending on how long they are keeping their person, to give them a different fabric to change, to cover or change them from what they have been wearing till the day they will take them for the final resting or final burial. So they called their family and told them what has been happening. So they asked their family members, what do they see him, so that it will be that it's not only them who are noticing this thing. Do they see him come home to visit, or do they have any nightmares? Or that they said no, that they don't have nightmare, that they are surprised to even hear this. While they were talking about that one, then I heard that the other unit, a mortuary attendant is also complaining about one other man. This one, the man woke up by himself. This man had spent 30 days in the mortuary. And because they were having a festival in that community, they cannot cry or bury anybody. It was a New Year festival, so that was their rule, that they cannot cry, they cannot bury anybody that period until after the New Year festival. So they discovered that the man woke up and sneezed after they have embalmed him. So they became worried, and the man was not asking them where he was. This is 30 days after he had died and was embalmed. He was not asking them where he was, that they should please tell him where he is. And they now asked the man, what is your name? Just so that they'll know if it is real that he's back to life. He told them his name. They now asked him, what village do you come from? He told them the village he came from. So they now wanted to be sure it is the man. So they went back to the other man who was always going to sit down and drink. They discovered that the man had gone back to the position they kept him. He no longer woke up again to go about, what he was doing. Maybe because he saw that they have discovered all he was doing, he went back. So nobody knows if it is his people that went to the village to do any incantation. Nobody knows. But this particular man who has been there for 1 full month, for exactly 30 days, getting up and sneezing and knowing where he came from, is something that was strange to them. So they called his people, and they asked him if he could stand. He said no, that he can't stand, but that if they can help him, he will try to stand. So they helped him. He stood up, and they managed to hold him. So they took him back into the hospital and tried to, work on him. So they started flushing his system, and the doctors were surprised because this is somebody that had died for 30 days. So why will he be this? He was able to remember his name and where he came from and all of that. So they discovered that the man was wrongly embalmed, like he went on soul travel. There's something they call soul travel in Great Message and all these other spiritual churches, the other side of spiritual churches, not the Christian form of Christian. I hope you understand. So the man went on a soul travel, and they thought he had died, and then they went to embalm him. So it was as he came back to return to his body, he saw that he could not return to his body again, and then he sneezed, and it was that sneezing that brought him back. So they discovered that, and they quickly put him into, the ICU. They tried to, check his body, flush the system, and the man came back to life. And when this man I'm talking about is from Oforekwe in Ekori. Oforekwe is a village in Ekori in Yakol local government in Cross River State. I am saying this so that in case you are doubting it, it will be easy for you to trace it. In Nigeria, this is where this happened. So immediately they took the man. They saw that he was now normal, better. His body was not feeling heavy again. They now took him to his community. Immediately people saw them coming back, and they didn't put him in an ambulance, so people did not understand. When they saw him come out, everybody took off. They ran away. Everybody ran away. They started calling people that they should come and see you. So they started trying to use sand to pour on him to see if he was truly alive or if he was truly the one. And because they saw that it was hospital people that brought him, they were now surprised. What happened? They now sat down, told the whole story. They say no, that they cannot hear the story alone, that they have to follow them to the chief's palace. They went to the chief's palace, sat down. The chief welcomed them, and they told the chief what had happened, everything that happened. So they called the villagers in a town hall meeting and explained everything that happened, that please, they should not treat him like a ghost or somebody who is not living, that this is a situation. He went on soul travel and he could not come back again to his body, and God gave him a second chance. And when I asked this question, I asked the question, I said, when they were telling us this whole story, I said, is it that when he came back, he lived normal and people he could eat? They said, yes, he lived normal, that he lived for a very long time, even before he finally died, like he died real this time, but he lived for many, many years. He lived for over 30 years before he died. So I began to wonder, I'm like, so this soul travel is real. So this soul travel is really a thing, because when people talk about soul travel, because the reason some people tell how they died and came back is or what happened while they died or they were no longer in their body. That is the stories they tell that make people know how when people die, they still roam around to see their body and to see people crying for them, and those who had killed them, all of those things. It's true, that means people got to know, because there's something called soul travel in all these Green Message, Kanka, and all those churches. Some things like that really exist. It was really scary.